showing out here today. I thought obviously the NFL was well represented, and it's anytime you can have the NFL Network on your campus showing your pro day, it gives you some exposure. It will help you nationally. I thought our kids performed well. You know, Eric Kendricks, no surprise, did fantastic in the drills. Oa did well. They used the linebacker a little bit. From the guys I talked to, they thought that he had a chance to maybe play there a little bit. If he was in a 3-4 scheme where they rush the guy most of the time, he'd fit, which is what you do in a 3-4 scheme most of the time. And then Brett threw well. He threw 60 passes, completed 57 of 60 with 1 drop. So not every throw was perfect, but I think what the scouts and the coaches appreciated was his enthusiasm. When they sit down and interview with him, you hear the same things over and over, just what a great kid he is, how high character he is, and what a hard worker he is. So those 3 guys did well. I thought Anthony Jefferson did a nice job. He ran better than he did at the Combine. And so it was a successful day.
Any late advice for them? Obviously, they have a ton of experience behind them, but is there something that you want to leave them with before they hit the...
Well, I spent a lot of time with them up to this point talking about it, but anytime, I spent some time with Brett there, just everything is being evaluated. Everything. I had three teams come up to me today and comment on the fact that it was nice to see Brett wearing his hat the correct way, rather than wearing it backwards or cocked to the side. And so, what these young men have to understand is that the way they walk, the way they talk, what they wear, how they present themselves at all times is being evaluated by these professional football teams. If you're going to go make an investment in a player, then you want to make sure that it's a high character player, because it's an investment that you don't get back. Well, you get it back in ticket sales and wins, but you don't get the money back. You can't afford to make a mistake. So being in our system for 3 years, because we run it very much like a pro system, we've got a lot of NFL coaches on this staff, I think helps these guys when they get to a day like this, because it's very natural for them to act the way they're supposed to act.
Knowing Brett for as long as you have, do you feel like he's shown enough in tape and in workouts that he could be considered, especially at the end of that first round?
I don't like to make draft predictions because the draft is so fluid. Everything is predicated on what happens before you. And everybody's priorities are different, and the priorities change during draft day based upon what happens around you. There's always going to be that trade that you don't expect. There's always going to be someone picking someone you don't expect. So I think it's really hard, unless it's those first 5, maybe 10 picks, to predict where a guy's going to go. I know this: all it takes is one team to fall in love with you, and they'll go get you. And I was lucky to work with Bill Walsh, and Bill said, don't worry about everyone else's evaluations. Let's worry about our evaluation. If it's a player that we like, then we're going to go get him. And whether we take him at 14 or 26, he's our first-round pick. It doesn't matter. So I guess we'll see. There's still a lot of time between now and the draft, and there's 0 right now that's set in stone in the NFL in terms of the draft.
With your experience in the NFL and your coach's experience in the NFL, is it such a comfort zone for these guys, coming into a day like today?
For our players, I think it is. I think the number one thing is that they have a chance to work with Coach Alosi, and they do. They train with him. They come back, and he runs our strength and conditioning program much like an NFL strength and conditioning program. They're around NFL guys because NFL guys come over here every 10 o'clock and work out with our guys. And then, being on a staff with a whole lot of NFL experience, we're able to tell them what people are looking for. Little pieces of advice that they might not get other places, like wear your hat the right way, put the right outfit on, greet them the right way. If they want to meet you, be 5 minutes early. Everything matters, how you present yourself. So I think I certainly think it helps.
Seems like Oa's stock has risen quite a bit. Do you think teams are finally seeing what maybe you guys had seen before?
Well, Oa goes to the Combine, and he jumps off out of the gym, and he ran a great 40. He's very athletic, and then today, teams got a chance to really see him, work in space a little bit. When you put him on a sled, you can really feel and hear the power that he's got heavy hands. I think people are starting to really appreciate him. What's interesting about the draft, though, is that it's a big build-up, and then it's a gigantic teardown, and then it's a big build-up. And right now, we're going to go through that phase where everyone's going to start ripping everyone apart, trying to find the flaws. And You know, I just think the teams that do it right are the teams that go look for the redeeming qualities in a player and cultivate that. And I think Owa's got a lot of those redeeming qualities.
When it comes to Ellis, what do you think about his pro potential? And just, I know this is kind of really speculative, but do you think he could switch to the other side of the ball and play some offensive line on the next level?
He could. It's hard. You know, the higher you go in terms of the level of play, the more difficult it is to switch sides. You just don't see it very often, or switch positions. It's rare. It just doesn't happen very often. You know, I mean, the one guy that comes to mind is Carnell Lake, because he was here today and he did it. He went from outside linebacker at UCLA to safety at the Steelers, but that is just rare. To project a defensive lineman over to offensive line is really hard to do. It's a project, and there's no redshirt years in the NFL. You know, there's no 4-year scholarships. You've got to produce right away. Maybe you make a practice squad and they, you know, invest some time in you, but you better show potential immediately, or you're just going to get somebody else. So I don't know. I don't know what teams are thinking about Ellis. I haven't had a whole lot of people really ask me about Ellis. It's mostly been about Owa, EK, and Brad.
In what ways do you think Eric has helped himself the most over the past few months?
Well, I don't think it's. I think it's his body of work over the last few years. You know, it's like you talk to these guys and they say it really doesn't matter what film you turn on. You see a guy that goes sideline to sideline and makes plays. I think probably since the combine and through the next few weeks where they come in and interview him, he'll help himself because they'll start to get a feel for his character. You know, his football intelligence when they get him on a board and see that he understands schemes, the way he presents himself. You know, you're always looking at football character, but you're always looking at high character individuals that you can trust, and he's a very trustworthy young man.
What aspects of Brett's game do you feel are most pro-ready right now?
His size and speed. You know, he's like every young player coming into the league. He's going to have to learn how to process things much more quickly. The jump from high school to NFL is difficult. The jump from high school to college is difficult. The jump from college to NFL is, you know, tenfold that, just the speed of the game. And so, you know, just like every player, it doesn't matter if it's Jameis Winston, Mariota, or Brett, it's going to be really hard early. It's hard. That's why you don't see many rookie quarterbacks go in the league and succeed right away. It's just processing information and pulling the trigger and doing it at the right time is not easy.
How do you impress some of these aspects of professionalism on these guys? Do you take them aside for meetings individually, or are they just standards that you expect the guys to adhere to even from day one on this campus?
Yeah, it's just part of our culture. It's just the way we do things. It's the only way I know how to do things. I had 20 whatever years in the NFL, so there's only kind of one way that I know how to do things, and we just tried to instill that in our program, and I think it helps.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.